Hey, good morning. I just want to say that you should never be ashamed to speak to me. I sometimes get that sense that people only speak to a person with self-confidence when they have it, when the person who is lacking confidence has it. And that's a big lesson. But simultaneously, I've been hearing the opposite lately, that you should only speak to a person specifically when you have confidence. I have a journal entry channel, kinda, on TikTok. And I don't know what I was going to say with that, but basically I have a tarot reading channel that I follow. I don't make tarot readings. And sometimes I'm watching a video and they say something that's applicable to just me. So what they said that was applicable to me was you need more self-confidence. So I said to myself, okay, that's why I'm feeling what I'm feeling. But the self-confidence was in regard to figuring out when best to speak to people. And people who choose not to speak to me because of a lack of self-confidence, aren't they following protocol? And that's the interesting thing. The reason why you lack self-confidence is because there's no spirit in you. There's no zest. Some people call it enthusiasm or encouragement to spread your energy, right? When you're happy, you actually want to spread. You're so happy, you're overflowing. You want to spread your energy. And that's like authentic happiness or authentic energy. Some people, they force it and it works, but it's not real. You can tell it's not real, but at least they're trying. I don't agree with that approach. But I don't necessarily agree with the approach either that you should wait until you have enthusiasm to reach out to people. That was just so cool. It's like a line of mushrooms. Yeah, I don't think you have to wait until you are have that enthusiasm to reach out to people. But at the same time, if you don't wait, then people won't get that contagious umph that cues to their psyche. This is not only safe, this is beneficial, or this is the purpose of life. So you always have these subtleties that seem completely contradictory. Should you do this or should you do that? And then I find that it's all about timing. And what people don't realize is that the right timing does have a formula. And we're all navigating around the expected formula. It's funny. You hear different arguments. You hear the argument that you should increase your enthusiasm for life or for people or for things. And then people, that will catch on and you'll get rich. And it doesn't usually work that way. And of course, riches is relative, because if you're not happy with your money, then are you really rich? So riches is actually feeling like you're rich. But if your money is never satisfactory, then you can't really be called rich. But what I keep reiterating to people is that there is a certain standard in how society works, that if you don't have enough money, you won't be able to navigate. And you'll feel closed in and unfree. So So happiness is often closely associated with freedom. So everyone needs to be free. Everyone needs an income. And then I find, despite that, it's not being given to people. There's like a refusal in the unconscious or some mechanistic workings that says, nope, it's not an option. It's going to destroy the economy. Okay, so so you need a program that, in an organized way, establishes that these people put in their effort and they provided some sort of value, or despite their efforts, we can make an exception. But the United States does not do that. It kind of leads into conspiracies. Like, you're bound to have conspiracies about this country. And, I'm sure a bunch of Western countries, but this one in particular, because they're not capable of thinking in that way. And you tell them that, come on. You tell them that you only got where you got to because of connections. They'll say to you, no, I worked hard. But every single person, push came to shove, they have to agree that it was luck and connections that got them to where they are. But if you bring this up to them, it'll be very difficult for them to admit it at first. They'd really need to get into arguments and heated debates before they say that you're no better than me, that you have no more potential than me. I mean, there was this 12-year-old kid who I think he graduated college already. Like, there are rare cases of kids who just go way beyond their regular capacity and drive. But it doesn't mean it's the norm. And what I'm saying is that intelligence is often a matter of organization. Like, if you have a system in your own household and you feel compartmentalized, you feel put together, your mind will just think better. There's like a whole interconnected process. Yes, it's the mind. Yes, it's luck, in terms of how you're wired and how you're able to cope with things. But there's so much more, especially when it comes to having stuff already working out for you. Like, there was a guy, terrible situation. He was walking his dogs and he was kidnapped 8 years ago. And he was just recently found. So no one knows what happened to him. He can't speak. Something happened to him. He definitely got beaten. It's not sure where, but some hypotheses say he was kidnapped and kept in somewhere for years, and he finally escaped. But he can't speak and he can't verbalize, and he just is scarred for life, or scarred for now, until he works out his post-trauma over the years. Terrible situation. But the point is that this guy is affected by what happened. So what's going on in your day-to-day life, whether it's terribly good or terribly bad, is going to affect how your brain works. Even though post-trauma is a different story. But this is underestimated, just how much trauma could be created by just lacking a few dollars. And like, some people, they're so traumatized around money that they simply cannot make it. They cannot make the money. I don't know if this applies to me or not. I have made money in the past. But it could be that there's an unconscious working that says that you won't be able to sustain it. So situations are brought upon them so that they can't sustain it if they're the ones making the money. I had a teacher who told me that he's not able to touch money. This is what he told me. Someone has to touch it for him, or he just goes into shock. He just can't, because something happened with his parents when his dad yelled at him And so he has assistants running all of his finances. He never looks at it, he never talks about it, he never touches it. He doesn't know how much money he has and doesn't want to know. If he needs something, he travels. If he doesn't, he doesn't. If he, he probably makes like $100,000 a year, but he never looks at his wallet. He never looks at his donations or whatever. But the reason why I'm mentioning this is because there is something in his psyche that is a problem with money. It's not the worst problem because someone else could take care of his finances for him, who he trusts. But what if someone has a problem that they can't even pinpoint because it's so deep, right? And because there's an unconscious mind that you can't even calculate how it works, how do you know what scars are going on if it's that deep? And besides, there's this, the way it works, that the unconscious mind is also a living entity. It makes decisions based on what it wants. So it may not even be a logical reason. Like, for example, if you feel stressed out, you don't know why. Yes, doctors will say, yeah, check your cortisol levels. Do you have caffeine? Is it still in your system? But it also has to do with what's going on, and more importantly, a psychic component. You feel nervous because there's logic, and there's another layer of things going on in the cosmos, or in the collective psyche is another word for cosmos. All these planets is just a navigating tool that we take seriously, but we don't know the origin of it. The origin of it is the way we relate to it. The origin of it is what people already believe. What people already believe is a science. And according to that logic, you can just eliminate it, but it's good to have it. It's good to have sciences available for tools, because you're never going to have someone who's going to completely stop believing in it, and you can't get rid of a belief. So it's always going to be applicable if you wanted it to reawaken the science. So I wouldn't claim it's bad, but really what's going on is there's kind of like an almost animistic working to it in the bottom of the mind. That it's as if he says, I don't want this to happen. So is the reason why the unconscious mind doesn't want someone to have money is because the unconscious mind is you, the Godhead or the collective psyche or the collective ego is you, all that, and therefore you're scarred, and so I think it's also, it could be that he just doesn't want it. But the point of this video is to say that you can't make this conclusion that it's the person's fault and that it's such a clear science. I'll just overcome your trauma. It's your doing. And a lot of these excuses are just ways to get people to go to therapy to work it out on their own. And they could be in therapy for years, but they'd still be blamed. They'd still be blamed for their problems. And like when I tell people that this and this is an excuse to not help someone, they often call me a pessimist, and that reinforces the belief. That I am a pessimist, because I complain about the fact that I'm a complainer as the reason, and I'm not a complainer. I'm just telling people how it is. And then the accusations I get is, well, you didn't go through logical formats. I've gone through logical formats. I've gone through illogical formats. I've met some success here, non-success there. And what people never really conclude is that it was luck and connections that got you to where you got to. It wasn't you. If it was you, if it was your skills, it was because the unconscious mind planned out and said, it's not good for this person in their situation to not have money. Either he's too smart, he's too collectively perceived as beneficial for the masses, right? Right, like if you had a perfect body and you walked around naked, get out of here. Look at this. He's attacking me. Come on, man. Forgot, I lost my train of thought. If you had the perfect body and you walked around without a shirt on, you're going to, because the human species is run off of sex, especially nowadays, you're going to have people that are commenting more, that are more interested in your video, that are more interested in what you're saying because of sex. But if he doesn't have the perfect body, or if it's not deemed as attractive as the sexiest man, it's not going to catch on necessarily. Because whatever cues represent sex is what people are going to be interested in. I forgot why I brought this up. Oh, because there's mechanistic workings to how things work. Oh, because the collective mind says they deserve respect, or they deserve intimacy. So it actually raises the odds on the unconscious level to get sex if you have a great body and you're showing it off. And women may not even know that they saw your body, but the unconscious mind picks it up because there's a collective psyche in regard to even how attraction works. It's like how do animals know that something is a good thing? Yeah, they personally witness something, but the instincts are based upon intuition as well. The instincts get influenced by what cues they believe will help them to survive. And those cues connect with something that's so subtle, it's in the psychic category. And intuition crosses paths with psychic, even though it doesn't have to. And intuition also crosses paths with the subconscious. Yeah, this rooster, he's such a weirdo. He's teeny, and he just fights everyone and then runs away if you look at them. Then he attacks you once you look away. It's so strange. Well, anyways, that's the update.